Hello, welcome. This is gonna be, I think, our fourth video about road tripping in Australia. And as promised, this time we'll be talking about going to Fraser Island. And I always try to make this video keep it real and publish them unedited. So you'll get me as I talk, and just to give you just a real impression. I don't want it to be too polished and everything. So here we go. Why do I make a separate video for Fraser Island? Fraser Island is one of the biggest dunes, sand islands in the world, and it's always on everyone's list if if they're gonna come and visit Australia. Fraser Islands is quite a distance from Brisbane, so we were staying in Coolandra when we were going to Fraser Island, and we booked ourselves a trip with transport and everything. And why did we do that? Because Fraser Island you need to have the right vehicle to go to Fraser Island. And with the right vehicle, I mean you need to have a four-wheel drive. And not just do you need to have a four-wheel drive, you need to have a four-wheel drive and you need to be able to winch yourself out of the sand or the mud or somewhere when you're stuck. We were in a camper van. You're not even allowed to go off-road in a camper van. If you're renting a little Suzuki or a Fiat or a Toyota or something, one of those little 1-800 rental cookie boxes, do not take them to Fraser Island. Please do not. It's not worth getting stuck. It's not worth the emergency services having to come and pick you up. It is just not worth the hassle. There are tons and tons and tons of tour operators who arrange trips to Fraser that you can join in even just for the day. Just do that. It's safe. They know what they're doing. They're picking you up. It's no hassle. I would definitely recommend just do that. So we were in Coolandra and we were being picked up. Oh no, the day before we went to Fraser with the tour. We went to Fraser, or not to Fraser, but we went close to Fraser ourselves, and I will explain it to you. Fraser Island, before you get there, you have to cross over a little section of water. I think it's only a 10-minute ferry crossover. But one side is Fraser, one side is Inskip Point. The day before our trip with the tour, we went to Inskip Point. So this here is Inskip Point. That on the other side is Fraser. So we went to check it out where we were going, even though we knew that we couldn't go there yet. And while we went there the day before, we had to park our camper van at the last bitumen parking spot, because you cannot drive with a camper van or a normal car through the sand, even to get to the beach. With a four-wheel drive you can, but this is how thick sand and how loose the beach is at Inskip Point. And you could see that that little car was stuck in the sand because he was not supposed to be there. But people always want to try and see what it is, and they're like, oh, it can't be that bad, it's just a beach. But it really is at Fraser Island, so don't do that. We were being picked up in the morning to go to Fraser Island, and we booked a tour with one of the monster trucks. And the monster trucks, they come and pick you up first at your accommodation with just a normal bus. And from the bus, they bring you to a collection point where everyone from different hotel comes in and everyone joins in the monster truck. Just to give you an idea what a monster truck is, this is the monster truck. We were in this one. And it's so high up, four-wheel drive. It's like a kind of rebuilt truck completely, because you really need that on Fraser Island. So before we went to Fraser Island, we had a pickup and we drove kind of through the rainforest, and we went to Rainbow Beach. And Rainbow Beach is a very beautiful orange-red dirt dunes, massive dunes. And we went there, we had breakfast. We had a chill. Our daughter could run around in the sand, but it was a good start of the trip. It's like here. You'll see there are multiple monster trucks, and they're getting coffee and bickies for morning tea. And then there in the front was my daughter when she was that little. But it's, yeah, so you don't go from the collection point straight away to Fraser Island. It's quite still a big section. So they drive through the rainforest, they do some off-roading, they tell you about things of the dune, some Aboriginal history. So yeah, no, it's very fun trip, and it's a good experience to do. And the trucks, they are really, really big. I had trouble getting in and out of the truck because, yeah, I'm a little bit short, but yeah, it's really a fun experience, and it's safe. It's absolutely safe. Crossing over to Fraser Island, as I already said, it's just a short drive. No, not a drive, a sail with the ferry. Is it a sail? Yeah, it's a sail with the ferry. But because Fraser Island is a sand island and it's connected to the sea, you have to be aware of the tides. So in Rainbow Beach, you will find in almost every shop, you will find the times of the tides and the times of the ferries. Because depending on what the tide does, ferries either stop earlier, or they can't go anymore, or they closed it down. Like the day that we went, it was like a king tide, so there was a shorter window to cross over and a shorter window to drive on the beach. Because in Fraser Island, a big part of the charm of going to Fraser Islands that you can drive on the beach with your four-wheel drive, and you have the waves coming in and going out and coming in and going out. But if there's a king tide, it means the wave come in even further. So it means there's less beach for you to drive at. And also you have to be very careful that you don't get pulled back in with the waves and your car. That's where the biggest danger is in. So we crossed over with this ferry. So it's just, they go up and down, up and down, up and down, as long as the tide is good. And you drive up on one side, you drive back off from one side. Here you see the big monster truck on the ferry. And then on Fraser Island, we drove to Central Station. And Central Station is actually where you have the one of the highlights of Fraser Island as well, is where you have the trees that are like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years old. You have water levels that are so pure and clear that they can drink it. You have a lake in the middle that is normally crystal clear and crystal blue, but of course of the day that we were there, it was a bit cloudy, so we didn't get the crystal blue lake. But when we went to Central Station as well, and actually everywhere where we were on the island, because we were the only one in the group with a kid, the guides were very, very cautious and telling us, it's like, there are dingoes everywhere. You cannot leave your child further than 3 meters away from you. She needs to know she cannot run if she sees a dog. She cannot try to pet the dog if she sees the dog. She cannot crunch down, because if she crunch down, they'll think she's a small vulnerable animal. So we kept her almost by our side constantly, literally constantly. She was either on my side or at my husband's side. She wasn't running around. She wasn't, yeah, we were playing with her, but we also told her that there are very dangerous dogs here that actually are not dogs. They're type of wolves, because yeah, that's what they are, and you're in their territory, so you have to be respectful, be smart, be safe, and just take care of your kid. So if you're going to Fraser with your child, make sure your child stays right where you are all the time. Like 5 meters is even too far away. When we left Fraser 2 days after that, a young boy got attacked that was playing like 10 meters away from his parents. And he was sitting down in the sand. And because he was sitting down, he's seen as a small, vulnerable animal that they can attack. So, yeah, be very careful with that. Everywhere you go at Fraser as well, especially with the picnic areas, they have gates around the picnic areas, and all the gates tell you that you have to keep the gate closed. That's where you can sit and eat. You're not allowed to eat everywhere on Fraser. You should eat in the sections that are closed off. And when we drove off Fraser, was it when we drove off? Oh no, on our way to one of the other stops, we saw dingoes. And it's very funny because for some reason, I thought they would look like gray or like wolves, or I don't know, very scary. But they look like little golden dogs, but they do howl. They don't bark. They do howl like wolves. And they don't look ridiculously big, but they look very muscled and very lean, if that makes any sense. So yeah, so we saw them on our first time on Fraser, so that was a good experience, because a lot of people go to Fraser and they never see them. So that was a very good experience. Talking about Fraser Island, if you want to go, as I said, just go with one of the monster trucks. I get it that you don't want to hire a 4-wheel drive. Maybe you're like on a backpacking budget and your 1-800 cookie box is all you can afford. They have these trips with the monster trucks for a 1-day trip that you come back the same day. You can stay multiple days. Just check it out. It's safer. And you don't have the hassle of worrying about how do you need to drive in the sand, fuel, what is safe, how to deal with the waves. Because fuel, yes, there is a gas station on Fraser Island. And even before the war in the Middle East, petrol was already expensive on Fraser Island. And with expensive, I would say, let's say over here it would normally be, let's say 150. At Fraser, it could easily be 210. And that's back then already. But you know what it is? There's only one gas station. So you either have to bring extra fuel or you just pay for it, because there is nowhere else where you can fill up until you're back on near Rainbow Beach. So that's what happened if you go to a rural or remote area. Petrol just costs more. You know it. You calculate it in your budget, or you don't calculate it in and you just go with a tour. But that is something you need to consider. Secondly, as I already said, don't go with a car that is not a 4-wheel drive. Just don't do it. Even if you have a 4-wheel drive, I wouldn't do Fraser driving myself the first time. Absolutely not. The waves, the sand, knowing how to maneuver, it's just not worth it. We did it with our own Pajero now twice, and we have a fully loaded Pajero with everything on it, a winch and a snorkel and everything and stuff. And even for us, it's like you have to be very cautious how you drive. You have to be cautious. You have to watch the sand. You have to watch the wave. You have to watch the tide. You have to watch other drivers, because there are a lot of other drivers as well. And you can also have a plane landing on the beach while you're driving there, because it's also a landing strip. So, seeing all those things, I would recommend just booking a tour the first time you go to Fraser Island. We went back to Fraser. Once we lived here in Australia, we went back to Fraser, and there's a university village on Fraser where they do research and scientific studies. and everything. And yeah, so we stayed there. You can rent their cabins, and it's also in a fenced area. We stayed there for 3 days, and then we had more time to explore Fraser. But that was completely different because it's with our own car. We had enough time. We stayed multiple days, and yeah, it's different. So we went to see like the shipwreck that's a bit further on Fraser. We went to the other side as well. But yeah, you can do more things when you're alone in a proper car. But you can also do those things when you go on a tour for multiple days. So yeah, well, that's it about Fraser. I hope this helped you a lot. And if you have any questions about Fraser, road tripping in Australia, anything you want to know, just let me know. And if you're planning, don't forget to grab our guide. The link is in the bio, and the guide tells you everything about the key factors of planning a trip to Australia, what is realistic planning, and how to stay safe. Until the next time.